Travis Shaw took a lot of heat on social media when he suggested that it would be difficult for him to abide by Canada's Quarantine Act all season if the Blue Jays had to play their home games here at Rogers Centre. Let's get instant analysis from MLB insider Shai Davidi. Shai, Travis Shaw was very apologetic for being, quote, tone deaf to the situation. But after speaking to Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, feels like he is now better informed of the situation. What did we learn about how the Blue Jays players feel as far as where they're going to have their home games in 2020?
Well, Hazel, I think there are a couple things that we learned today that were pretty interesting. Number one is the fact that some of the Blue Jays players, at least, were surprised by the fact that they would have to be quarantining again during the regular season throughout the summer if the Blue Jays do manage to get to play their home games here in Toronto. The fact that that is a bit of a surprise, that probably led to Travis Shaw's feelings. This is not something that's particularly fun for anybody to be in quarantine for an extended period, being limited to the footprint of the stadium and the hotel. So that is a difficult situation. But I think ultimately the Blue Jays players, certainly the front office, all understand that the path of least resistance is games here. Yes, there'll be some more challenges, some more sacrifices that everyone's going to have to make, but ultimately this is the best situation for them under the options that they have in place right now.
Shai, earlier this week, Mike Harrington of the Buffalo News reported that the Blue Jays had reached out to the Bisons just in case they couldn't go to Dunedin or Toronto. So where do things stand?
Right now, still more questions than answers. Work does continue on multiple fronts, and Buffalo did emerge as a possibility over the weekend, but it's a spot where there are a lot of issues. Sidelined Field is not major league caliber. There are a lot of infrastructure problems in terms of trying to get it up to big league standards. And the home opener for the Blue Jays only 2.5 weeks away. There's probably not enough time for them to address all of that. So Toronto does remain the focus. The Blue Jays were in contact with the Canadian government on Sunday, seeking to try and work out another modified quarantine, such as the one that they have right now, trying to clear some of the hurdles there. But they do have Dunedin in their back pocket. It's certainly not optimal, especially the way coronavirus cases continue to spike, keep pushing towards a new peak there in Florida. That's not somewhere where you want to be if you want to try to keep your roster healthy. And the Blue Jays are also going to have to start kicking around other possibilities just to have fallbacks if Buffalo can't work, if Toronto can't work, and if Florida continues to be a place that you want to avoid. So a lot of challenges for the Blue Jays right now trying to figure this out. And the path of least resistance for them, the best option remains being here at Rogers Centre.
Well, Shai, on the field, manager Charlie Montoyo had some news for us. Right-hander Chase Anderson is going to be sidelined for a while. Why?
Couple days ago, before he was supposed to start throwing in the bullpen, he ended up straining his oblique, and whether or not he's going to be ready for the regular season right now, a bit of an uncertainty. Oblique injuries notoriously difficult to deal with, so it would certainly depend on the severity. Right now, the Blue Jays are listing him as day-to-day, but if Chase Anderson isn't ready to go, all of a sudden there's a spot open in the rotation. And we've talked a lot about Nate Pearson, not just in recent weeks, but all the way back to the original spring training. And this would appear to open up a rotation spot for him if he's able to make the jump and be the guy that the Blue Jays choose. Now, obviously, service time is going to be a factor in their considerations with him. And on strict meritocracy, I think you'd be hard pressed to say Nate Pearson doesn't deserve to be the guy. Certainly, Ryan Borucki, Anthony Kay are a couple of guys who will have something to say about that. The Blue Jays right now are listing it as an open competition and don't want to tip their hand, certainly, but there is a pathway now for another of their kids to find their way into the starting rotation, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the Blue Jays handle Nate Pearson as this goes along.
Shun Yamaguchi told us that the Blue Jays haven't told him about his role this season, but he certainly wants that starter's role in that rotation. That's your MLB Instant Analysis. For Shai Davidi, I'm Hazel Mae.